Well, since I'm on this machine, I thought it'd be fun to try out the tucker. Now, I have never really, I've watched people do pin tucks, but I've never actually tried to do these on this machine except with a brief test before, which wasn't 100% successful. So something was wrong. It was creasing, but I was doing something slightly wrong. But this is kind of a really neat attachment. So it's actually relatively easy to put on. There's this little hook here, and that has to go over the presser foot there. So you have to have you really need the presser foot down, and then what you do is you hook it over, and then once you've hooked it over, you tighten that up good, like that, and then what you can see is as the presser lifts while it's sewing, it's going to do that, and that will create the creases for the tucker, so that's fine. So I've adjusted this for quite a slightly small tuck. And what happens is there are two parts you have to adjust. You have to adjust this bit here, which is your cloth guide, so that's the very edge of the fabric where you want to sew. And then this part is where the actual creaser goes. So what happens is this pops up and down and it leaves a crease in the fabric as it's passing underneath. There's a 0 mark right there, and what you do is you decide how much distance you want between the 0 on both sides, and that determines the amount of your tuck. It explains it reasonably well in the instructions, but what I couldn't figure out, and Fiddly Bits, if you've ever watched any of her videos on the tuckers, she says some of hers work with putting the mark better on the top, and some of it puts it better on the bottom. I tried doing it fit to the top and ended up just sewing a big mess. It sort of crushed all the creases on top, so I'm not sure whether I haven't got these adjusted enough or it should be underneath. So we're going to try it underneath and see if that works better. So the important thing you have to realize with the tucker is you need a very small seam or stitch length, and the reason is because you want to hide the stitches in the fabric, and also you want that creaser to do it as often as possible to give good creases. So what I found with this is it's easier to just pull it in from the back and bring it forward. And once your needle's in place, you're kind of good to go. So what you can see is as we start sewing, it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. So you see that up and down movement. So what I'll do is I'll zoom in now. Just make sure this is pulling forward enough. Yes, it is. And then we'll be off. Okay, so off we go. You can see it's not moving very much. That might be a little too little. Yeah, let's increase this a bit so that it makes a nice crease. And I'm going to be a bit lazy today, to be honest. I am not going to press this little crease. I'm just going to hand fold it and use my nails to press it. You get best results if you use an iron, but for the demo I'm not too worried about this. So there's some Mexican shirts which have a lot of pin tucking on them, and I quite like some of the designs in that they put fancy stitches over top. So when I was in Mexico I saw that there's all of these shirts, so I thought, I can't see any other way of ever using these for clothing for me. But if I find someone who wants an outfit with some pin tucks, I'll have a good reason to do it. So So let's take a look at this. So what you can see is, and hopefully this will show, yes, you can see the crease mark here, and the stitches beautifully embedded in the fabric. So what we would do now is, and this is where I wasn't sure, do you turn it up or do you turn it under? In this case, I'm going to turn it under and hope I've got it right. So I'll turn it under, I'll just fold it along the crease and just a little nail press. I apologize for the claws at the moment. We've had construction here this week. They've been ripping out our Kitec plumbing, with the result that a lot of my stuff is still in boxes because we can't finish unpacking till they finish painting and plastering the walls back. But fortunately my sewing room is free of water pipes, so there was no impact here, so I'm at least able to be in this room without too much disaster. So what I said before is to bring it past and then pull it backwards, and you might find that the stiletto again comes in very handy for just making sure you're underneath the needle. Okay, so it's all in place. So now we're going to find out the moment of truth whether or not this works facing down. So off we go. It's feeding. It's quite therapeutic because you really have to do a lot of stitching for the amount of distance you're going. It's kind of fun. Okay, we're coming to the end again. There we go. So we'll lift that up. Okay. And what we have is a stitched tuck, like that. So it's stitched perfectly in place, and we've got the next fold. So this is the part where I had trouble before. It's how you fold this, because you end up potentially, let's zoom out. So this is where I struggled a bit last time. So I can see that I would want to fold it that way, and I will do that. And I'll use my nails again to press that down. Okay, so that's ready to sew, but underneath here it's all folding in on itself, and that's what I wasn't so sure about what I should do about that, because last time it ended up just sewing on itself. So I'm not sure how to resolve that problem because they're so close together. So obviously if you have to do really tight creases, that could be quite exciting. But maybe, yes, I think it makes sense if I'm more careful, just do this. Maybe it'd be easier if I left more space, but if you fold it like that and fold those down, aha, that means you're not going to sew over your work. Okay, that seems to be the secret. So hopefully this will crease effectively because it's going through a lot of layers now. So I've lined it up, so let's see what happens. As I said, I've never done this before, so this is exploring together. Off we go. out. Okay, so we have that. Oh, the crease worked. I can see it. Didn't think it would, but I can see the crease is there. So we've got the mark. Now we're, again, this is exactly what happened last time. So I've got this. I suppose if we do it this way, then it will make sure it doesn't sew it underneath. There we go. So this is where it would definitely be good practice to iron, but as I said, for this demo we're going to be lazy bones and just see if we can figure out the logistics of this. So definitely folding it up like that, so we're ready to go. Push it underneath, pull it backwards, and make sure this is pulled out so that it can mark the fabric. Okay, off we go. Now, one thing I do like about this machine is because it's got the old type tensioner which doesn't release with the foot pressure or foot up. It doesn't pull the threads out when you start sewing, so you actually don't have to hold them on this machine, which is rather fun. It's kind of like the modern machines. You don't have to worry about that so much. And so off we go. Making sure I have this all pulled out. The machine is pulling to the left, so if you see me pulling, that's why I'm steering it to the left. To that one. Let's see what we got now. Okay. Okay, it's still marked, so we're good with that. So quite happy with that. So again, the old get it under the foot. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So on the underside we've got that, on the top side we've got some pin tucks. I would say with a good pressing those would be really acceptable. I think they're nice. Considering I've never done this before, it's a bit of fun. Yeah. So they just need a good pressing, but so you can also control how big they are. Fairly decent sized pin tucks. So that, you can press them flat if you want. They look really nice. 10 out of 10 on the machine. It's doing an excellent job. Better than my ability on these pin tucks, but I'm quite happy with that. I think that worked really nicely. So obviously on this one you can adjust if you want them closer together. These are quite close together, but you can definitely go closer still so they're really bunched up together, or you go farther apart as well. And you can also increase how high you want them. These are maybe an eighth. I think I set that to an eighth. Let's just get a little indicator out and see what it says. Yes, 1/8. So that's why you got these things here. So if you set the distance, because it's marked in eighths, you have to sort of divide it by 2. Because you're going on a hill, so both sides have to be taken into account. So you've got the space between, which is on the right side, and then you've got the actual height of the pin tuck, which is adjusted by this part on the right. So you can adjust it. You can have huge pin tucks or very short pin tucks, and you can adjust as well how close together they appear. But I'm quite pleased with that for a first attempt. I'd want to practice more before inflicting this on a garment, but I'm good with that. That was fun. Hope you enjoyed that.